I've never liked you from the beginning. There's no place here for someone like you, a pregnant woman, a monster, like you, just go home." On my brother's wedding day, my sister-in-law yelled at me with hurtful words. It was my brother's special day, and I wanted to be a part of it so badly, but being treated like this made me feel awful. I couldn't stand it anymore. Things took an unexpected turn when I decided not to go to my brother's wedding. My name is Elizabeth, I'm 30 years old, and I work part-time while taking care of household chores. 3 years ago, I married my husband, Robert, who is 2 years older than me. Robert works as a buyer and salesperson for a major department store. Thanks to his good looks, he's always been successful in his job. We always wanted children, and after trying fertility treatments, we were finally expecting our first baby. I was especially happy because I wanted to have a child with the man I loved, so I was overjoyed when I found out I was pregnant. When I told Robert, he was just as happy. "Robert, I think we've finally been blessed," I said. "Does that mean, yes, it's our baby? I'm finally pregnant?" Robert said, looking amazed. He was so happy that he started crying, thanked me, and hugged me. Since then, we've both been eagerly waiting to meet our baby. Every day, we couldn't wait for the baby to arrive. At the same time, there was someone else excited about the baby, my older brother, Thomas. He's 4 years older than me, and he's always been very fond of me since we were kids. Even as adults, we've always gotten along very well. He knew about the fertility treatments, so when I told him I was pregnant, he was just as happy as Robert, even crying tears of joy. I heard that our mother, back home, was so happy that she couldn't even speak. Whether it was my wedding or my pregnancy, my brother always wanted me to be happy, and I loved him just as much. 2 months into my pregnancy, one day my brother called me. "What's up, Thomas? You wanted to talk about something?" I asked. He looked shy and scratched his head before answering. "Well, I'm getting married." "Married? You, Thomas?" I was surprised. My brother had gone to an all-boys school for middle and high school, and later a university where there weren't many girls. I never heard of him having a girlfriend. Even when our parents suggested setting him up on dates with women they knew, he always turned them down. I think my brother is good-looking, but his quiet personality made it hard for him to find a girlfriend. So, hearing that he's suddenly getting married really surprised me. "I bet you're shocked. It's all so sudden, right?" "Yeah, I didn't expect it." "So, who's the lucky woman?" "She's 3 years younger than me, and just 1 year older than you, Elizabeth. Her name is Rebecca, and we met through work." "Through work? Really?" "Yeah, she's the daughter of the president of one of our business partners." "The president's daughter? That's incredible. That sounds like something out of a movie." I was so surprised, but my brother just chuckled and said, "You're overreacting. Even though she's the president's daughter, she works hard at her father's company. We're both getting older, so we decided we should get married soon." Seeing my brother so serious made me feel warm inside. He, who had always cared about my happiness, had finally found someone special. I was genuinely happy for him, almost as if it was happening to me. A month later, my brother brought his fiancée to our apartment. "Nice to meet you, I'm Rebecca," she said, shaking my hand. Rebecca was beautiful and well-dressed, the type of career woman who seemed like she came from a completely different world than mine. "Nice to meet you, Rebecca. I'm Elizabeth, the little sister," I said, greeting her. "Oh, so you're the little sister," Rebecca said, eyeing me up and down. For a moment, it felt like she was glaring at me, but maybe I was just imagining it. It seemed like my feeling was correct. After that, she didn't talk much to me and mostly focused on my husband. "Robert, you're amazing, working as a salesperson at such a long-standing department store," Rebecca said to him. Robert responded nervously, Well, yeah, I haven't had time to shop recently, but next time, could you recommend something that would suit me?" "Sure, we'll be expecting you," Rebecca replied with a smile. It was clear that Rebecca was treating me and my husband differently, and it seemed like she wasn't trying to flirt with Robert, but I didn't want to cause any problems, and more importantly, she was my brother's choice. Just like my brother always wanted me to be happy, I also wanted him to be happy. I didn't want to ruin his happiness over something as small as Rebecca being cold toward me. Even though I had concerns, I kept quiet. After that, Rebecca started visiting the department store where my husband worked more often. One day, when Robert came home, he was venting about it. "Rebecca came to my section again today. I think she was there yesterday, too." "Really?" I asked. "Yeah, I know it's good for sales, but she keeps interrupting me when I'm helping other customers. It's causing problems for the other salespeople too. She doesn't care. That sounds frustrating. Robert told me that Rebecca often spent thousands of dollars whenever she visited. While this helped the store, he was worried about her spending habits. He said that even though she's the president's daughter, her attitude toward money seemed a little excessive. Several months later, the day of my brother's wedding finally arrived. By then, I was in the later stages of my pregnancy, and my belly was much bigger. It was my brother's big day, and I was so excited. I was sure it would be a beautiful wedding. I couldn't wait to leave the house. I had bought a special maternity party dress just for this day. The trouble started when I arrived at the venue and went to the reception desk. I'm Elizabeth Smith, the groom's sister, and this is Robert, my husband, I told the receptionist. The receptionist looked confused. You're the sister? Yes, I'm Thomas Harris's sister, I replied. That's strange, the receptionist said, then added something unbelievable. We were told that the groom's sister wouldn't be attending. What are you talking about? I'm the groom's sister, of course, I'm attending, I said, shocked. Well, we were told that the groom's sister had other obligations and wouldn't be able to attend, the receptionist said. There must be some mistake, I protested. My husband and I are supposed to be here. She checked the list and said, Mr. Smith is on the guest list, but your cancellation is confirmed. Only the sister's attendance has been cancelled. I was speechless at this unexpected turn of events. Instead of me, my husband asked the receptionist, "Who told you my wife wouldn't be attending?" The receptionist replied, "It was the bride, Rebecca." Something about this made my husband's face harden. He asked firmly, "Could you please call Rebecca here?" A few moments later, Rebecca and a woman who looked like her mother appeared. I confronted Rebecca. "Rebecca, what's going on? I'm marked as absent from the guest list." "Oh, is that so?" Rebecca said casually. "Well, that's the situation." "Wait, I never said I wouldn't attend," I protested. Rebecca snickered and said in a nonchalant tone, "I couldn't care less about your opinion. I don't want you here. You're a nuisance. Do you get it?" "Excuse me, what are you saying?" I asked, shocked. "To begin with, I've never liked you," Rebecca sneered. "Just because you have a somewhat handsome husband and brother doesn't mean you can act all high and mighty. From the first time I met you, I didn't like you. Your plain face doesn't even suit your name, Elizabeth. You're a hindrance to my happiness, understand?" I had thought she was just cool toward me, but I never expected she would hate me this much. I froze, struggling to find the right words. Then she looked down at me and spat. "Didn't you hear me? You're a nuisance. There's no place here for a big belly monster like you. Go home." I was speechless, but the shock didn't stop there. Rebecca's mother then joined in, saying things I could hardly believe. "Rebecca's right," her mother said. "It's a nuisance having someone ugly like you at her wedding. It's bad enough Rebecca is related to you." Rebecca, seeing my shocked face, added, "Go home now, you're in the way, leave, you ugly pregnant woman." In that moment, all the anger I had been holding back exploded. Just as I was about to shout back, my husband raised his voice for me. "What the hell are you saying, my wife? I never thought Rebecca could be this rude." "It's okay, Robert, let's go home," I said. "Are you sure?" he asked. "I don't want to be here anymore. Let's go," I replied, pulling his arm, and we left the venue. As we left, Rebecca and her mother continued to hurl insults at us. A few hours later, my brother came rushing to our home. "Elizabeth, Robert, I'm so sorry for what Rebecca did," he said, looking remorseful. I asked him, "It's not your fault, Thomas, what happened at the wedding?" "I had to ask the guests to leave halfway," he said sadly. "I couldn't continue the ceremony after what happened to my beloved sister." "That's wise," I replied, "but why did Rebecca go so far against me?" "Well, I was surprised too when I heard it," Thomas said quietly. Then my brother spoke softly. "Rebecca seems to have been jealous of you, Elizabeth." "Jealous?" I asked, shocked. "We get along well as siblings, and on top of that, Robert is quite handsome. Then you're pregnant at the peak of your happiness, and Rebecca just couldn't stand it," my brother said, explaining why Rebecca had acted the way she did. "What's that about?" I asked. "She was shopping excessively at Robert's department store because he's good-looking," he said. I was lost for words. It didn't make sense, my brother continued, still worried about me. She was annoyed that more attention would be on you, especially with you being pregnant. All the guests would naturally talk to you, asking things like how far along you are, or telling you how happy you look. She couldn't stand that. Unbelievable, I muttered, for such a reason? Apparently, my brother, busy with work, had left all the wedding planning to Rebecca. Whenever he tried to give his opinion, he was told that the bride is the main character of the ceremony and that he couldn't interfere. That's why he didn't know that I had been marked as absent from the event. I'm so sorry for what happened, my brother said again, lowering his head. The next day, my mother asked us to come home, so my husband and I rushed back. There, we found Rebecca's father, clearly furious, with his daughter and wife beside him. He looked serious. "Rebecca, don't you have something to say to Elizabeth?" her father said. When he prompted her, Rebecca clicked her tongue and threw a tantrum. "Why do I have to apologize? I was the star of the ceremony. Will you stop this nonsense?" Her mother then chimed in, seemingly agreeing with Rebecca. "That's right. Why should Rebecca apologize? It's all this woman's fault." Rebecca and her mother continued to display their anger, but then, her father, trembling with rage, opened his mouth. "Who do you think you're talking to? How dare you say such things to these people?" he said. Then, to my surprise, Rebecca's father knelt before us. "I'm truly sorry for the terrible things my daughter and wife have done. Please, can you find it in your hearts to forgive us for this incident?" No matter how much he bowed, I couldn't forgive them. I told him directly. "Do you think we could forgive you? We couldn't even attend our beloved brother's wedding after being treated so horribly. Do you think we could forgive you?" Rebecca's father then tried to reason with us. "But we're in trouble if you don't forgive us. Our company will suffer." It turned out that Rebecca's father ran a wholesaling company dealing with imported goods, and they had a business relationship with my brother's company. After this incident, my brother was so angry that he asked his boss to end the business dealings with their company. That's why Rebecca's father was begging us for forgiveness. He was trying to fix things to keep the business going with my brother's company. I didn't know that my brother's company had so much influence. Even though Rebecca was the daughter of a company president, my brother seemed to have more power in this situation. Rebecca's father kept apologizing, rubbing his forehead on the floor, but it was clear that his main goal was to protect his company. This only made me more upset. There was no point in talking any further, so I told Rebecca and her family firmly that I would never deal with them again. "If you're going to marry my brother, I'll cut ties with him too," I said. Rebecca snapped at me. "Wait a minute, my dad is apologizing so much. Don't you have any empathy?" I glared at her and replied, "Empathy? How dare you? The person who caused this mess. Talk about that? Who should be apologizing here? Don't let your father grovel. Your selfishness has ruined my brother's happiness. You're not a good match for him. Know your place, you fool." After that outburst, I kicked Rebecca and her family out of my parents' house. Later, I found out that my brother and Rebecca quickly called off their engagement. Rebecca didn't want to break up, and in the end, my brother had to hire a lawyer to handle the situation. He also arranged for a settlement to be paid to me. I didn't feel like accepting it, but my brother said it was the least he could do to apologize, so I gratefully accepted. Rebecca's family's troubles didn't end there. Her father's company eventually went bankrupt, losing the business relationship with my brother's company, which had been essential for their business, led to their downfall. They lost everything because of this incident. Looking back, I think they got what they deserved. A person like Rebecca, who could say such hurtful things, surely deserved this kind of retribution. As for me, I safely gave birth and am living happily. My brother, who has recovered from his broken engagement, now visits me almost every day to dote on my daughter. "Robert, can I hold her for a little while?" my brother asked. "But you were holding her just a while ago," my husband replied. "Please, I'm leaving in an hour," my brother said. "Well, I guess I can't help it," Robert answered. The two of them, my husband and brother, went back and forth over who would get to hold our adorable newborn daughter. Listening to their sweet conversation, I felt a warmth in my heart.